Suffer. Suffer. We're live. Welcome back to Thorpe TV. Did you guys miss us? Today we're talking about the Cortney situation. Wilmar says, woo, new Ben shirt. He says, what's good? I figured y'all would be home by now. Yeah,
we are home.
This is our home, Ricky. We're always home. So today we're talking about the Cortney situation. I'm going to try to lay it out for you guys so you can understand exactly what's going on here. So this is from that blog. It's June 22nd of 2023. So she said, quote, in February of 2023, my husband, Benjamin Thorpe, beat me at 428 Child Street. During the beating, he punched me many times on my head and torso and suggested that I may not make it out alive. During this incident, he also hit me in the face, causing my glasses to fall and break. On the same night, he assaulted my son, causing him to flee. This follows a sustained campaign of emotional and sexual abuse, which he has forced my children to witness, play a part in, and be subject to. He has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder but refuses medical intervention, leading to episodes of violence, threats, and emotional abuse. So that was for the emergency restraining order. And then on July...
All of which is a lie.
Yes, all of which is a lie.
Because you were there during this incident.
That's correct.
It took place in January.
Right. She got even the date 100% wrong.
100% of that is a fabrication.
Yes.
Except that her glass didn't get broken.
Mm-hmm. You have not been diagnosed with bipolar.
Nope.
It doesn't even make any sense. She's describing an alleged incident of physical violence, and she follows it up with, this follows a sustained campaign of emotional and sexual abuse, which he has forced my children to witness, play a part in. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, what she's saying is me saying, like, I think there's a situation here that needs to be resolved in terms of our, supposed marital situation.
Mm-hmm.
Is abuse. That's not abuse.
Yeah. So this is just one of many sort of violent, stupid, chaotic sort of copes that my mother has come up with since 2018. Since before YouTube, before any of this stuff. Just as a way of refusing to deal with the essential problem.
Refusing to deal with a problem that is very clear in its dimensions and doesn't need to be a big deal.
Yeah. We've been putting together sort of a timeline of what's happened in our family. And I do have some very interesting emails that my dad sent to priests in an attempt to have them rectify the situation. One is from 2020 and the other one is from 2022. And there's one response from one of the priests who met up with my mom privately to talk about this that is also very interesting. But just to set up the exact Cortney situation that we're dealing with right now, the hopefully final cope attempt and massive display of violence that we will ever deal with from this woman. So she got this restraining order. The temporary restraining order was served on July 1st to my dad. And then the year-long restraining order was served on August 7th of 2023.
It wasn't served.
Finalized in court. Now, what month are we in, guys? August. What's the date? August 5th. So this restraining order that she's had in place both for her and for my 4 minor siblings, one of whom is 18, Charlie, but is still in high school. Charlie, Tommy, Maggie, and Joe. It's going to be over in 2 days. I have some stuff that I need to deal with, but I will show you guys in the meantime. I put together a little video yesterday, and this is a video of one of these ridiculous incidents that my mom has caused to occur from July 19 of 2020. at the police station, 1 a.m. to report, or I don't know, to ask for help because my mother said that my father rapes me and is going to groom Maggie. And we've had enough of that. Stay tuned. They're right there on the bench, right outside the door. It's my mom and, let me see. Oh, we are just inside, waiting for the police to arrive. Crazy. She's so fucking crazy. We're just waiting for the police. Quick update. We spoke to one of the policemen, the bald guy. So he just told us we could wait inside. Maggie told him she didn't want to go back to my mom. And he said she had to. And then I said, well, she doesn't actually have to. And he said, okay, well, why is she upset? And Maggie told him, what'd you tell him, Maggie?
I told him that she says that Dad's a rapist, but then doesn't like tell me anything about it, and like she says that like I asked for like whatever evidence. She never says.
Oh, here they come. Okay, so that's the full video. The Cortney situation, as it stands, is that I've been trying to contact my siblings about this, as well as my mom about the situation, because the fact of the matter is, this restraining order, this whole thing, this whole legal power she has, it's going to end in 2 days. And I think obviously the mature and healthy thing to do would be to establish some communication about what's going to happen at that point. At that point, my dad will get full parental rights back, just the same as she does, as the same as she has. And my siblings will be allowed to see whoever they want at their own discretion. That's literally what the court said. They said, when this restraining order ends, we anticipate that the children will be able to, at their own discretion, visit or live with whatever parent they want. I texted my mom. Well, so first of all, I made a group chat with my 4 minor siblings, one of whom is 18 but still in high school, and with my mom. And I said in the group chat, like, hey guys, 4 days left until the restraining order is over, lol. My brother Tom said, unusual Thorpe W. And I said, yeah, LMAO. So I was wondering what you guys are thinking about doing once that ends. My sister Maggie said, we should do a trip in the RV. I said, well, I think the obvious question is, what's the deal with mom? Keep in mind, she's part of this group chat and she hasn't blocked me. So she's receiving all these messages, pretending she doesn't see them. Her modus operandi is just complete silence, which is not going to work when she doesn't have legal power anymore. Then I sent them a screenshot of what my mom is asking for from the court. Number one, that the plaintiff, which is her, Cortney, be awarded sole custody. Number two, that my dad be enjoined and restrained from harassing, assaulting, annoying, or otherwise interfering with my mom and the kids at home, on the street, or anywhere whatsoever. Continuation of the restraining order. And number three, that my dad be denied visitation with said minor children. There are other requests, but that's what I sent to them. Obviously, the big request here is that she have sole custody and dad has no visitation with you and would have a restraining order put on him. So you wouldn't see him until you're 18 if she gets her way. But on August 7th, both her and dad have the exact same custody rights. My sister Maggie said, wait, so it'll be only like that for how long, the equal custody thing? I said, until custody is decided in the divorce settlement. I would assume, not mom getting all these messages and just pretending she doesn't see them, LMAO. I told them when the next date was for the divorce hearing, and I sent them a link to an email that my dad wrote to a priest who we used to go to the church that he was the priest at. This priest talked to both my mom and dad separately back in 2020. This is actually 2020, not 2023, actually 2020. And this priest, I said, mom met with this priest privately, and this is really the only person she's ever turned to for help. He came to the conclusion after their conversation that there were massive causes to seek an annulment and that mom and dad should obviously get separated and that mom is extremely limited. Oh, Mike Avelli, what's up? How could Cortney even get sole custody? There's no documented abuse, so I don't see what grounds she could argue for sole custody.
That's what I asked the judge in the first hearing.
Mm.
I said, what are the grounds? And the judge shrugged her shoulder. How are these kids included? You just say abuse? Where's the evidence? Is the dynamic here is they fear causing her instability,
Mm-hmm.
that it will cause them instability. That's not how parenting works.
Yeah. Well, you can hear that in this text he sent me. I think she, meaning mom, I think mom has to approach the conversation and talk about it because she can't just have us talk to dad without her talking to us first.
Obviously.
Yeah. But I don't know exactly what that means. Like he's saying like I want to talk to her before I talk to dad because otherwise what? I don't
He's saying if I talk with dad, she's going to see it as betrayal. She's going to psychologically punish me.
Yeah.
It's like breaking up with a crazy girlfriend.
Yeah. But he's not even breaking
your
up.
Mother.
He's saying he wants to live with her. He just wants to be able to see you and me. That's all he's asking for.
She's been saying like you can't.
Yeah.
I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to cause you pain if you do that.
Any mature mother would understand that her kid's relationship with their dad, even if she's split up from the dad, is their relationship with him, not hers, to manage or control. Obviously, for us, it would be better if they lived with her so we could travel and stream and we see them and do stuff with them. The only thing we're really trying to establish here is like, is this tyranny of like, if you see your sister, I'm the threat of me calling the cops.
I mean, they have to establish a residence.
Yeah.
And the obvious choice for the residents would be in this town in which they're going to school.
Wasn't Tom, when he was on stream with me, I think I went out for a smoke or something, and he was saying like, you know, this thing with mom is crazy. She won't let me see my dad or my sister without the threat of police. The restraining order is crazy. She's very like controlling, and I don't like that. And yet he's saying he wants to live with her. Okay. But the thing is, he's not going to have this conversation with her. She won't even respond to me. I texted her. I said today, I said, okay, so here's the situation come August 7th. The court says the kids can freely choose which parent they want to see or live with. Maggie has said that she wants to go on an RV trip with me and dad in a group chat that you're a part of.
This one piece of evidence I think we should send to the lawyer and to the lawyer's supervisors, because this is a charitable organization that's defending this person.
Yeah.
That's enough to say, okay, this is what your charitable organization, which has a defined mission,
Mm-hmm.
which is the exact opposite of this sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
is doing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that the lawyer will say, like, we no longer want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have this problem. We'll have this problem with your mother wanting, I don't know, showing up in court, dismissing it again. And by this time, like, the legal system's going to say, lady, you got nothing. You're wasting our time, and they may pursue criminal charges. And then I can just do a quickie nullification thing
Mm-hmm.
in court. I remember seeing her in court without a lawyer.
Yeah, I do.
She's a cuckoo clock.
Yeah. I
She'll
remember.
be 5150 out of the courtroom, screaming in the hallway. I mean,
What did the judge say? She was like, well, you're here not pretending, acting as your own lawyer. And mom was like, I'm not acting like a lawyer. And the judge was like,
crazy. And it
no,
was a
I mean
female
representing
judge.
yourself.
She's unhinged. Like, they're gonna say, like, you need to get psychological help. For the time being, the kids will be under Ben's care. It's over. You can't just say, like, here's the obvious truth, and for 4 years just be like,
Mhm.
no one's gonna notice, like, it's kind of cuckoo. And every time you text her and she doesn't respond, it's just more evidence that she's totally crazy. What am I gonna do on the 8th? Show up in an RV in front of her house and put the kids in this situation where if they leave, mom's gonna like crucify them, and if they don't leave, they're like they can't enjoy the rest of their summer with their dad and their sister.
What is the idea come the 7th? What is her concept? Like, I just don't understand.
You want this running?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna hit it.
Sure. So I texted her. I said, Your policy has been, as evidenced by the 4 times I've tried to see my siblings, Maggie at the airport, Maggie at the garage, Joey at McDonald's, and Tom at the studio, that I'm not allowed to see them, and if you feel fine calling the police on me if I attempt to see them. And I also said, you stated to the court that you think dad is a danger to the kids, and you also ticked a box on your application for the restraining order that said, quote, your spouse has coerced or forced you and or your children to participate in sexual activity, something like that. I said, so what's the idea? You won't have this legal power on August 7th. Are you not going to talk to me or the guys at all about the situation? You're either going to have to stand by the things you said in that affidavit and make the argument to them that they shouldn't see dad, or you'd have to admit that you lied about him and he's not a danger at all. And then I sent her the screenshot of my text with Tommy, and I said, this is what Tom just texted me about the situation. He obviously kind of doesn't want to deal with the fact that he hasn't had a conversation with you about this for the past 14 months. Wouldn't it make more sense at this point to attempt to have a mediated conversation? Do you really think this is appropriate for him to have to deal with? So I think I've done my part as far as like trying to facilitate a conversation between everybody. I guess I would just say like my siblings don't really seem to want to deal with it. I think they see the situation as overly dramatic, when really like this whole restraining order thing has just been one of a series of idiotic things that my mom has attempted to do for the past, ever since 2018, way back when my dad first started telling my mom that there was an issue, that there was some kind of an issue in a marriage, which frankly, like, I don't really understand the massive, like, oh, how, like, I don't even know what I can't even come up with what the problem would be in that. A husband is obviously perfectly entitled to bring issues up in the marriage to his wife and to discuss them with him. If they cause her to spin into like mental hysteria for 6 years afterwards, is that really his fault? Raised an issue that they were having, which was that they weren't getting along, they weren't communicating. He felt like she was being abusive, and he had questions about the validity of their marriage. Ever since then, she's just been coping and spiraling in an attempt to just not deal with that issue. Frankly, my feelings about the situation, honestly, like, I thought the situation was serious, but like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't see how me or my dad have really any responsibility come August 7th. If my siblings don't want to talk about it and my mom doesn't want to talk about it, like, my siblings will pull this shit like, why didn't dad fight for us in court against the restraining order? But then we're like, okay, well, things were complicated at that time, but like the restraining order is going to be over. So what do you want to do? And it's like crickets. My brother Tom has bitched to me, and so is Maggie, about like how mom is like unhinged, and she's like, you know, she drinks, and you know, she won't let us see you guys, and that sucks, and we really miss you. Okay, like, you can do whatever you want come August 7th, but it's up to you, I guess. It sounds like they don't care. Yeah, I mean, I think they do care. I just think that they just don't want to deal with it. I don't know, like, even in their heads, I'm not sure what they're hoping for. Like, I don't even know what they're hoping for. Or do they want me and my dad to like come in there like on a white horse on August 7th and be like, unhand mine children, and ride off with them into the sunset? I don't think so. Do they want us to go over there and talk to mom? Do they want us to not do anything? I have no idea. Like, even in their fantasy, what would happen? I don't know. But Grace, the court is going to know that Ben got an NCO for kicking you, whether it's dropped now or not, and that's not going to look good for him. No, that's not true. The only thing that's on my dad's record is a filed thing about violating a no contact order, I believe. That will be dropped within like a year. That's the only thing. I need a bullet before I dragged my daughter into my drama. Okay, buddy. Kids shouldn't be involved in their parents' divorce. Oh my God, you're stealing their childhood, Grace. I'm not gonna get baited by this. They've been texting me that they're not having a good time with my fucking mother. Okay, oh, so while I roll some cigarettes, here is this is the audio. My sister knows I recorded this, by the way, and she said it was fine for me to share it or whatever. This is an audio recording that I made of me and my sister driving home a few days after the whole July 19 through 20 debacle with the police. Somebody said, why did I record this? Real question. Well, for two reasons. Number one, like I said in the recording, I don't know, maybe just one reason. But like I said in the recording, me and my sister, we would both have this experience of like this sort of pain and just absolute frustration at the sort of stonewalling my mom would give us. And when we actually talk to her in real life, like I said, like I would sort of have these breakdowns with dad, and that's what, like I was kind of saying to Maggie, like that's what you're doing here with me, and I understand it because when you talk to mom, you sort of freeze up and you don't have these emotions. So actually, I did record this privately, but after, when we got home, I said to her, like, look, I recorded that. I can delete it, but I think we should play it for mom because I don't think you have the strength to say this to her in person, but I do think those were real emotions that you had. And I do think maybe that would help for her to see that there's a problem. Because I was kind of saying, like, look, I don't want to play parent to you. I don't want to play mom to you. I don't want to play dad to you. But if you're finding it hard to express these emotions, like you don't have to do this, but if you find it hard to say what you really feel to mom, you can just have her listen to what you said in the car. And that might make it easier to sort of try to break through the stonewalling. And so she agreed. And then when we got back, we did play it for her. And it did soften my mom a bit, but she ended up just saying, I didn't record the conversation between her and Maggie because I felt like, okay, I don't want to record things. I don't want everybody to be on edge, so I'm not going to record it. But there was a conversation that me and Maggie and my mom had at the dining table. And I think my basic point, I mostly let Maggie talk to her, but I played the recording for her. And then I was like, Mom, this thing you're doing with this restraining order and with dad is causing the guys massive psychological issues because you refuse to explain why you're doing this to them. So they can't see their own dad and you won't explain why. And obviously that causes them a lot of problems, not to mention the fact that you are essentially closed off mentally. You're emotionally disconnected. Maggie has tried to talk to you and she just experiences extreme frustration because you just shut her down. You just say, I'm not talking about it. I'm busy. You can't have a family that's in breakdown and just not explain anything to your kids. That's not parenting. You're causing them problems. Grace, you're weaponizing her here. You hinted at self-awareness in December when Ben ran away when you mentioned that you wouldn't do any BS when meeting the kids. You know what you're doing here. No, I'm not weaponizing her at all. Like I said, I was recording something that she wasn't able to express to my mother face to face because my mother is scary for them. She has created a situation where if they ask certain questions or act a certain way, she will punish them. She will punish them emotionally. She will abuse them emotionally. She will not show them affection to punish them for asking questions about the situation. They are scared of her. They don't want to talk to her. They're afraid she'll do violent things towards them. They're afraid she'll call the police if they hang out with me. They never understood the reason why she got the restraining order so that they couldn't see their dad. Never been explained to them. And so that's why I recorded it. And she was fine with it. And I'm perfectly within my rights to explain it publicly and try to get through it as best I can. Maggie is just crying about capitalism. I don't want to be poor. I mean, I get it, but I told her that's the situation your mom's putting you in. None of this has to happen. This is all extremely expensive. All of this drama is expensive, brutal, psychologically stressful. None of this has to happen if we can just communicate. But she's decided her newest thing, this was back then, her newest thing is your father is a danger to you and I'm keeping you away from him, from sexually abusing you. And she eventually dropped that, actually. She had a whole stint of that. And now it's that my dad is bipolar and she's dropped the whole grooming thing. My brother picked up on that, my brother John, and he was like, oh, don't let Tommy near dad because he's going to groom him. Now my dad's gay. It's just endless cope, endless expensive, dramatic cope. Her newest thing, this was back then, her newest thing is your father is a danger to you and I'm keeping you away from him, from sexually abusing you. And she eventually dropped that, actually. She has it, like, she had a whole stint of that. And now it's that my dad is bipolar and she's dropped the whole grooming thing. My brother picked up on that, my brother John, and he was like, oh, don't let Tommy near dad because he's going to groom him. Now my dad's gay. It's just endless cope, endless expensive, dramatic cope. I would essentially say that audio, it absolutely illustrates the problem, which is mostly that what my sister is sick of is the going back and forth, which is, I would have to say, it's the fucking situation my mother has put her in, because none of this was necessary. Okay? Remember this. This was from, that recording was from July 22nd, 2023. That's a month after my mother got the emergency temporary restraining order, so my dad couldn't see my siblings or her. Just as a side note, my dad didn't have any problem with her getting a restraining order against him personally, so that, like, there was, like, an official line, like, no contact. Fine. But my mom created a legal situation where the kids had to choose. Because between February and April, somewhere around that time of 2023, my mom abandoned the family. She took off. She lied to my dad's dad that my dad kicked her out of the house with no money and no clothes, no car, whatever, which was not true. She left the house one night, went over to my dad's place, lied to him, manipulated him into getting her a hotel and everything. Then would call into stream, wouldn't contact us. No contact, no text calls, anything to me or my siblings or my dad. Nothing. Even when my siblings said, like, where are you, mommy? Nothing. Okay. Then she would call into streams from her car without telling us that my dad's dad got her a hotel room and was paying for her stuff, and pretend she was, like, homeless, like, out on the streets. That was what had happened before this thing. Then sometime in, I think, early June, about I guess less than a month before she got the emergency restraining order, she asked me and my dad if she could come back to the house in Warwick that we were living at and live with the kids without me and dad there. And we said, okay, yeah, makes sense that you want to be with the kids. You are their mother. We'll get out of here, and maybe that will cool off the tension. We moved back after having moved in there, because the kids were complaining that she was abusive and, like, gone mentally and was on Discord 24/7, was getting drunk on streams and freaking them out. Okay? After Joey had called me crying, saying, like, I can't keep doing this with mom, we had gone back to the house in Warwick to take care of them because they said it was an unhealthy situation with her. She abandoned. Then she asked to come back. We're like, okay, all right, we'll give you the space to come back. She comes back and does this restraining order thing. Okay, without any informant, and also implicitly, after the restraining order thing, cuts me off from seeing my own siblings as well, and says, you're not allowed to see them. I'm not telling you why, yada yada. So that's been the situation until 2 days from now. That situation will be over. That legal situation will be over. What was my point? Why didn't Ben just go the divorce route? Because you wanted to use her for content? You mean back in 2018? The issue he brought up to her was not about divorce because they're Catholic. He had been looking into, actually, okay, last thing, I can read you guys this email. Actually, I don't know if I'm going to read this whole thing. But my dad was looking into, like, if a marriage at a certain point can be invalid, even though you've been married for, like, a really long time. And he found an article published by the Knights of Columbus, written by a Dominican with lots of experience in canon law, tribunals, etc. One particular section, this is from his email, entitled Defects of Consent, caught my attention. Oh, thank God. Please wrap it up. Nigga, you're watching. Why would you say that? Suffer.